In our latest private channel livestream, we talked about the importance and the potential consequences of breaking below the 100,000 barrier. And that's exactly what's happened. In today's video, we'll show you how we're tracking Bitcoin's price action, focusing on this key support zone and the significance of the current upward channel. Additionally, we'll dive into Ethereum, explaining why recognizing its latest all-time high is so crucial, along with the decisive breakout from this rising wedge. On the screen, we have the Bitcoin chart on the 1-hour time frame. Let's zoom in a bit as we want to focus on this key level, the 100,000 mark. Last week, we were already highlighting the significance of this move and this particular candle because it shows a massive concentration of volume. When analyzing it with order flow, we noticed that the 100,000 cluster concentrated all that volume. As a result, we were already considering that if this level were lost, the drop would likely come with significant momentum. Take a look at how we emphasized this in the last livestream on our private channel. What we said then was to keep this cluster, the 100,000 mark, as a key reference point. If broken, the decline would likely intensify due to the high volume concentration visible in that candle. That's why at Crypto Insight, we emphasize the importance of market structures that allow us to anchor our strategies. As you can see here, we've highlighted this defense zone and the current upward channel, which we'll discuss further. But before diving deeper into Bitcoin, let's move on to Solana to see what its chart reveals. In this case, we are looking at the daily time frame. Here we can observe that the market recently visited an extreme, as the price recognized the all-time high, barely surpassed it, and then reacted to the downside. This visit to the all-time high occurred within the context of a bullish double Z pattern. And why a bullish double Z? First, let's look at the larger Z pattern. On the macro scale, we can identify a bearish impulse followed by a corrective structure. This macro corrective structure forms a Z, which we are still experiencing today. Notice where its guideline is located, this defensive zone here. This area has been key in the past for understanding the broader crypto ecosystem. As you can see, this defensive zone couldn't be breached, and the Z pattern continued to develop. Zooming in a bit and moving to the 4-hour time frame, I'll show you the second Z, the double Z I mentioned earlier. Here we find an inverted corrective pattern. Why inverted? Because we're correcting the impulse shown here in gray. Following this, we encounter the complex corrective structure, which indeed forms the bullish Z. Here you'll see that its guideline is this defensive zone. This is the area where the price reacted after the abrupt drop we experienced over the past few days. However, it managed to hold, and notice how the price immediately bounced upward upon reaching this level. So, what's the takeaway when looking at Solana's chart? Yes, we're witnessing pullbacks after recognizing market extremes such as the recent all-time high. Yet the market continues to respond to the key zones we've been monitoring, particularly this defensive area, to sustain the bullish momentum. Therefore, what we'll be watching for is whether the price respects this zone and continues, in one way or another, its upward movement. This progression is shaped by the double Z pattern I just showed you, where both Z formations remain intact. Now, let's move on to analyze Cardano. But before that,
welcome to Crypto Insight, your ethical and moral channel for cryptocurrency technical analysis. Here, we really know what we're talking about. We conduct advanced technical analysis that has been developed for over 12 years. We upload videos several times a week. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, let me know and leave a comment with your opinion. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell so you don't miss the next opportunity.
Cardano, for its part, has also been navigating market extremes. This is evident in its visit to this defensive zone, shaped by a macro distribution process where sellers are defending their positions in this area. As a result, we can say that Cardano has reacted at these market extremes. Let's take a closer look at this strong upward impulse which broke through the creek and moved to recognize the extreme we just mentioned. Now, shifting to the 4-hour time frame, we can see a defensive zone forming here as well. This is a key area we'll be monitoring, as it could prompt a reaction from the price. However, it's also critical to understand the consequences of losing these levels, so stay vigilant and watch how the price behaves around this zone. Moving on, let's analyze Polkadot. I'll show you why Polkadot is also at a market extreme. On the macro scale, we see a bullish accumulation process which we expect to break upward at some point. The price has already recognized the creek and had an automatic reaction. Let's zoom in further to examine this in more detail. This recognition of the creek occurred after a strong breakout from the descending wedge we were tracking. Here too, we're working within a defensive zone, a structure that gives us plenty of reasons to remain optimistic. As long as this zone holds, our bullish outlook remains intact. Now, let's return to Bitcoin to analyze the importance of the channel I mentioned earlier. On screen, we have the daily time frame chart for Bitcoin, where we can see the macro bullish Z pattern. Here we have the bearish impulse, followed by the complex corrective structure consisting of the W, Y, and the macro Z. This Z pattern includes a defensive zone, indicating that it's still valid. From a macro perspective, we remain bullish. Switching to the 4-hour time frame, we can see how the price is consolidating after this impulse, forming an ascending channel. This channel has been respected so far, which is why we assign it significant importance and relevance, at least until we see evidence that it has been completed. On the other hand, as you can see, we've outlined a possible creek here. Below this creek, we're considering a bullish accumulation structure. As I mentioned earlier in the video, for other assets, we'll be anticipating the potential entry of the price into a range before breaking upward with strength. What are we looking for here? First, we'll want to see the price break this creek to the upside and, of course, aim for new highs. That said, we already know what needs to happen for this scenario not to play out, in which case we'd need to reassess the situation. Special attention should be given to this defensive zone I'm highlighting, as it serves as a more micro-level indicator that everything is fine and that we can continue looking upward. However, as I showed you at the start of the video, losing a high-volume area like the 100,000 level can have significant consequences, as we saw when the price dropped sharply. The same applies to defensive zones, so we'll need to monitor them closely. For now, we remain optimistic. If you enjoyed this advanced technical analysis, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon so you don't miss future analyses. Also, share this video with your friends and other trading and crypto communities so more people can improve their strategies. Best of luck with your positions and see you next time.